Okay, so get your breath going and sit in a position that you can just hang out in and be comfortable for a few minutes. And then if you saw my email about class tonight, then you know that I am not a fan of New Year's resolutions. In fact, I find the whole thing, toxic. But as I was really thinking about how to sort of reframe today, I think it's just semantics. And if it's the word resolution is the word that works for you, that's okay. What I really sort of came to is that our culture has a dominant narrative. And in our dominant narrative, we all live in scarcity. None of us have enough. And we all need to like buy more things and products and whatever to try to ever get towards that ultimate state of perfection or enoughness. And so I had a really hard time with perfectionism in my life and when I was young, and it manifested in eating disorders and, you know, self-destructive behavior patterns that were really hard and painful. And it was all about like, you know, if I could just look the right way, lose enough weight, you know, get the right grades, whatever, then I was going to be enough, and I was going to get that external approval. And it's no wonder that so many of us feel that way, grow up with those kinds of messaging. I mean, all you have to do is turn on the internet or the TV or whatever, and it's coming at you. And so what I want to really work on, and we're going to talk about this a bunch, is the counter narrative. It's really easy for me to sit here and say it, and it's very, very hard practice to really do it. But the counter narrative is a sense of deep sufficiency. It is that we are enough. It is the central theme, I think, of everything I've ever read by Brené Brown, right? The gifts of imperfection. And the gift of imperfection, the gift of letting go of the striving for perfection, is to finally be in that place of sufficiency rather than scarcity. And to live our lives from a place of deep knowing and belief in our enoughness. And we're really swimming upstream as we seek to live a life from that place, right? We are swimming against, I don't have enough time, I'm too busy, I don't get enough sleep, I can't get it all done, fill in the blank, not enough. And so my 30,000 foot invitation on New Year's Eve of 2020 and going into the next year is to join me in really rebelling against that dominant narrative and to work together in ourselves and in our communities to reframe and to every day come back to that truth of our sufficiency, our wholeness, and to start each day with the premise that you're enough. Does that make sense? You like that? Okay, so get out your pen. So I did a little intent setting, resolution setting exercise with Leslie Perlman yesterday. And she's kind of got these like 5 attributes of, I feel like it's a lasting intent, or more like a wholehearted resolution, a resolve that comes from the lens and the frame of sufficiency rather than scarcity. And that's actually the first, number one, you can write this down if you want, is that a lasting and a resolution with like integrity, right, has to start from the premise that you are enough. And then number 2 is that it has to relate to the deeper purpose in your life, the really deep, like, why am I alive on this planet, right? So if you think about some of the sort of more commercial resolutions of like, I'm going to exercise every day in 2021. I'm going to lose 10 pounds in 2021. I'm going to be totally kind to my family all the time. Like, you can see how the more superficial, or hear, right, how those more superficial resolves aren't connected back to that sense of deeper purpose, that sense of like a really heartfelt desire, something that honors the deeper meaning of your life, you know, something really beautiful to like guide you, that you can call upon as you walk your life's path. Number 3, to make this intent resolve, the Sanskrit word for this is sankalpa. To make it stick, you want to speak it in the present tense. So you set the intention as something that like is true right now. So something that's like, oh man, you take this like, I want to be kind to my family every day, to I want to be patient and less controlling. And then maybe you flip that to like, I am relaxed and I have all the time I need. Did you follow that? So number 4 is to focus on like feeding, nourishing, strengthening your intent or your resolve. So that's like, create a mantra, say it to yourself out loud, declare it, speak it out loud a lot. And then this 5th kind of instruction for creating a lasting resolve, intent, sankalpa for yourself is, you're not perfect. So you will stumble, you'll fall off the wagon or fall off the rails and scream at your kids or whatever it is. And when that happens, instead of beating yourself up, be kind, be gentle, and congratulate yourself for noticing. And then return back to steps 1, 2, 3, and 4. Any questions about that? The 5-step program for a Lindsay approved New Year's resolution. Okay. So we'll practice tonight creating an intent for yourself, and then embodying that intent through the yoga practice. So close your eyes for this next part and get your breath going. And then ask yourself, what is your most heartfelt desire right now? What is your deepest desire? You can put your hands on your heart and breathe in and really listen inside. Another way to ask that question is like, what do you really want? What do I really want? And if your first answer was something like on that superficial plane, right? Like, I want to quit smoking, for example. See if you can find a deeper need that's asking to be heard under that. That's asking to be met. Like maybe I want to care for my body. Or even deeper still, I love my body. And so when you figure that out for you, just write it down if you haven't yet. Some people are still writing, some people are done. And if you're not writing it down, it's okay. You're just remembering it in your mind. And the next step is to whatever you wrote or whatever you're thinking of, that deep desire, that deep wanting, frame it in the present tense as if it's already done, it's already true. And then write down that declaration like in the present tense. So we're going from, I want to quit smoking, I want to love my body, I love my body, in the present tense. And then once you've got that down in the present tense, underneath that, write down, declare one action step that you can take to practice living this heartfelt desire or this deep, deep asking to be need that is asking to be met. So one thing that you can pledge to do, like every single day, to make this resolve and this intention manifest, to bring it into fruition. So sitting here with your breath, present to the truth that you're already enough, that there's nothing to fix, there's nothing with you that's wrong. And then repeat your statement, your resolve, like a mantra. And I'll invite you to do that as we move into the yoga practice. And then there's one more thing you'll remember from Leslie's list of 5 things. There's one more thing, which is to say it out loud. And so I'm just going to invite you to let me know what you came up with. You could put it in the chat, you can text me, you can email me. And then for your homework, I'll invite you to tell some other people in your life and get some practice saying it out loud. Okay. If you haven't read Braiding Sweetgrass, put that book on your list. I just keep finding all these like savory gems in each chapter. And the one this week that I just have to go back and read over and over again because it's like my language, it's an epiphany, is what Robin Kimmerer writes on ceremony. And she just put it so simply in such a clear and elegant way. You know, I think it's really what like Buddhists call mindfulness, mindful presence, right? Being in ceremony, she says, is focusing our attention on our intention. And so I've been, you know, it's been tumultuous, and I'm always evolving and learning, right? As I teach yoga, as I teach, and there's some permission here about we can all use this word ceremony. The idea of focusing your attention on an intention is not does not feel to me like something that belongs to a particular culture that's not mine. It feels like a way to practice in a really good way without appropriating, right? So when we talk, and I'll have to keep sort of figuring this out because it's all distilling in my own heart, right? But when we talk about being in ceremony and being in yoga ceremony, what we mean is focusing our attention on an intention. And when we do that, as Robin writes, we become just deeply mindful and present, really connected. We step into connection. It's like, I was thinking, it's like dropping into a line when you go skiing or snowboarding or something like that. Drop down in, right? Surfing. It's exquisite attention. It's an act of reverence and connection. And I think it really starts with connecting to the land, connecting to nature. So just taking that attention. And you can do this right now. We'll do this in every practice forevermore. Bringing your attention to just the land that you're on and giving recognition and gratitude to the land, to the people that have inhabited it for millennia. Bringing your attention to what's around you, the bodies of water, plants, winds, moon, planet. You can kind of feel it under your skin as you start to connect with your mindfulness to all that. So first we connect with nature, and then we connect with ourselves. And then as we engage in this ceremony of putting our attention on our intentions, right? It all resonates beyond the individual and into our communities and societies. Let's begin our practice. Sit up comfortably and place your hands on your chest over your heart. Close your eyes and breathe in a softening way into your heart. Maybe breathing your sankalpa, your intention, your mantra for your intention, right up under your hand and into your heart. And in your practice today, your work is just to connect with your heart, with your breath, and with your intention. To savor the nourishment of your breath in your heart. And to feel for the subtle openings and releases as you do your practice. And so we'll start with Brahmari, which is a breath practice. It is an audible humming sound. And with Brahmari, you'll feel for the vibration of your own voice, your own sound, underneath your hands. Let's begin. Take an inhale. And with exhale coming into Brahmari. Keep going with your Brahmari for 3 more rounds. Brahmari helps us to generate and to move energy. So with your inhale, fill up completely, right up into your heart. And with the exhale, feeling the vibration in your hands, in your heart, in your core. And after your 3rd round, come back to Ujjayi breathing. And we'll come into shoelace, seated side bend in shoelace. If shoelace is not working for your, go left foot on top. And if shoelace is not working for your hips or your knees tonight, you can just bring your shins to parallel, but they're kind of crossing out in front of you. It's the other way. Otherwise, left ankle over right knee. And then bring your right hand straight out from the right hip. Inhale, feeling for telescoping your torso away from your pelvis, and then exhale, side bend. Wrapping the top shoulder blade towards the armpit, relax your neck. Exhale and slide your right shoulder blade down the back. So the top of the right shoulder is moving away from your ear. Second arm position is neck release. So keeping your torso where it is, sweep left fingertips down towards the left hip. And finding that sweet spot for the best feeling of opening and release in the left side of your neck. Stay in the pose here, staying connected to your breath. And then to come out of the pose using the top arm to lift the torso back up to center. And once your spine's back over your hips, bringing your right hand to the side of your face and gently lift the head and neck back up to center. If you'd like, bring your hands together and switch the cross of your legs. Otherwise, you can use your hands if you need them. Second side, proceeded side bend. Keep your legs, your feet, and your ankles active here by flexing the toes back towards the shins and then reaching through the internal arch side of your foot. Left hand comes straight out, right arm reaches overhead for side bend. Inhale and roll the front of your chest and your heart open. Exhale, drag the bottom shoulder blade down the back so that you can release your neck. Spread vibrantly through the hand and the fingers on your top arm so that you're stretching open the joints and the tissues of your hand. Second position is neck release, sweeping the top arm down. Can you let your head and your neck go? Another layer. And with your next inhale, washing your breath, like feeling it, hearing it really in your inner ear. And then feeling the spaciousness and the opening stretch down the neck along the top of the shoulder. And then to come out of the pose, use the top arm to pull the torso back up. Hand comes to head. And press your head and neck back up to center. Have your rolled up mat nearby. And then lay on your back for elbow to knee. Bring your hands out in front of your face. Part of this work of creating a new intention and pushing back against our culture's dominant narrative, right, takes some rewiring in your brain. We can work on that neuroplasticity in our movement practice. So bring your hands out in front of your face and cross your hands in your non-habitual way. Once you've got that, clasp your hands behind your head and your neck. Your knees are just over the hips, feet below the knees. Spread through the toes, activating your feet and your ankles. From here, inhale into your low back, lift the head and chest. Press your low back down. Hold the breath. Curl tailbone up. And then exhale, reach both elbows towards the left thigh. Straighten through your right leg and hug your right glutes around the sit bone. Inhale, come back to center, head and chest. Stay lifting. Hold the breath. Press your low back down. Curl tailbone up. And then exhale, reach both elbows towards the right thigh. Lengthen your left leg away from your torso. Hug the sit bones in towards the tailbone and pull low belly down. Inhale, come back to center. Breathe into your heart. Feeding your heart with your breath. Hold the breath. Curl tailbone up. Exhale, reach both elbows towards the left thigh. Straighten right leg away and pull low belly down. Inhale back to center. Breathe this time into your low belly. Press your low back down. Curl tailbone up. On exhale, elbows reach towards the right thigh. Left thigh bone reaches away from left hip as you pull low belly down. Inhale, come back to center. Leave your feet where they are and set the head and chest, set the head down. The next set of abdominals is frog lifting through. So with the knees bent at 90 degrees, open the legs for frog. Flex the toes back towards the shins. Press the heels away from you. From here, elbows come sort of parallel in towards each other. Inhale, press your low back into the floor, curling the head and chest up off the floor. Exhale. Inhale, reach elbows skyward, and then exhale, curl pubic bone towards your belly button, pull low belly down, sending your thighs away from your hips. Inhale, release the pelvis, head and chest stay lifting. Exhale, curl pubic bone towards low belly and pull low belly down. Inhale, release the pelvis. Press your low back down. And then exhale, as you curl the tailbone and the pubic bone up, send your thighs away from your hips and pull low belly down. Inhale, head and chest stay lifting. Press your low back and ribs down. And then exhale, curl the pubic bone towards the low belly, send thighs away, and pull low belly down. Reach your elbows skyward even more. Inhale, feed your breath down into your belly. And last one here, so give it your best and highest quality of attention. As you reach elbows skyward, curl pubic bone towards the belly button and pull low belly down. Feet are active. Inhale, release your head to the floor. Unclasp your hands, bring your hands to the outside of your legs, and then use your hands to bring the thighs back together. Put your feet down. Grab your rolled up mat for bridge with a roll. Place the roll on pubic bone. Your feet are hip width apart. Press your feet into the floor. Taking a moment here to come back to your intent, to come back to that really high quality of presence that we call being in ceremony, right? That just total attention to intention. Press your feet down and let your pubic bone reach towards the ceiling to lift your pelvis up off the floor. Squeeze the inner legs together, palms face skyward. Press into the balls of the heels of your feet. Keep reaching the pubic bone higher to come up into bridge. Next, inhale, lift the heart towards your face. Exhale, curl the pubic bone towards the belly button, activating the glutes, the outer hips, outer legs. I'm starting to understand why bridge pose for me is so soothing. And I learned from Jill Miller that when we get our pelvis up higher than our brain, because gravity is helping to wash so much blood down towards our heart and our brain, our heart's not having to work as hard. It's getting plenty of blood, and so your blood vessels actually start to contract, and your heart doesn't need to work as hard or beat as fast. And when your heartbeat slows down, your nervous system gets the signal to unwind and relax. Feels so good. Next, inhale, feeling the back of your heart, your upper back and ribs press into the ground. Curl tailbone one more time, and then lower the upper back, middle back, and finally the low back down to the ground. Set up for twisting abs with a roll. So if your low back is tired or tweaky tonight, or your hamstrings are injured, you can do this with the knees bent. Otherwise, legs straight towards the ceiling. Clasp your hands the other way, behind your head and your neck. Inhale, lift your head, your neck, your shoulders up off the floor. Hold the breath. Feel the low back press down. Curl tailbone, squeeze onto the roll as much as you can, and then on exhale, both elbows move towards the left thigh. Pull low belly down and squeeze your sit bones together. We're really going to need, inhale, back to center. We're really going to need the back leg strength tonight as we go. So hold your breath here, curl tailbone up, squeeze onto the roll, and then as you exhale and bring both elbows towards the right thigh, really feel the glutes engage. Squeeze sit bones around the tailbone. Inhale, come back to center, head and chest stay lifting. Fill your low back and your belly with your breath. Hold the breath. Curl tailbone, squeeze the roll. Exhale, reach both elbows towards the left thigh. Pull low belly down, squeeze sit bones. Come back to center. Wash your next breath into your heart. Hold breath. Curl tailbone, squeeze the roll. Exhale, reach both elbows towards the right thigh. Pull your low belly down, squeeze one more time. Squeeze the sit bones around the tailbone. Feel the glutes turn on. Inhale, come back to center. Set the head and chest down. Set your feet down. Set the roll aside for now. Roll over onto one side. And come on up. For sun salutations. So Christy, as we move through with your hamstring injury, it's contract, 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 which is going to feel like that cue of squeezing the glutes around the sit bone. Yeah. And we'll all get to use our hands to just make sure we're doing that as we go. Inhale, reach your arms skyward. Feel the ribs lifting away from pelvis. And then exhale, forward fold. Relax your neck. Inhale, step the left foot back for lunge. And start with a 90-90 lunge. We're going to warm up the hip flexors and the quads kind of incrementally here. And with this 90-90 lunge, go ahead and take your left fingertips, right, back onto your left glute. Find that glute. There's the maximus and the medius and a few different muscles there. And you want to feel under your hand for all of those glute muscles contracting around the bone. And you'll feel as you do that and then press the left hip forward, you'll get a much deeper stretch in the front of the left hip. Exhale, bring your hands down to either side of your front foot and step back into plank. So start with a modified plank tonight by bringing the knees down. Hug your upper arm bones in towards your rib cage. Slide the shoulder blades down the back as you lower all the way down for low cobra. Bring your hands
at least 6 inches out in front of your shoulders. Press the tops of your feet into the floor, and then on inhale, drag the ribs forward towards the hands. Come up into low cobra. Engage your glutes as much as you can to protect your low back. And then drag the ribs forward as you come on down. Hands come underneath the shoulders and press back into downward dog. Wrap the shoulder blades in downward dog. You can kind of walk out the backs of the legs. I always have like ankle popping, toe popping, joint opening stuff going on here. And then inhale, step the left foot forward, 90-90 lunge on the other side. Use your right fingertips this time to feel and find the activation of your right glute. Christy, it looks like you're thrusting your rib cage forward a little bit. So can you activate the glute and sustain your abdominal engagement? Next, exhale, step forward for forward fold. Relax your neck. Take care of your hamstrings, so bend your knees as much as you need to. And then inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, hands together in front of your heart. Inhale, reach your fingertips skyward, spread through the hands. Anchor, or just feel the ground under your feet. Exhale, rib cage comes to thighs, fold forward. Inhale, step the right foot back. We'll switch sides here. And then come into another 90-90 lunge. I'm going to take this one a bit further. So without using your fingertips, use your proprioception here to turn on the glutes just as much as they were in the first lunge. And then you'll grab onto the right wrist with the left hand and come into a side bend. And feeling how as you bring the ribs into side bend here, keep that glute turned on, press the right hip bone forward, and find out if that takes you a little bit deeper into your hip flexor and psoas. And then wash a really huge breath into that area or that direction. Release. Hands to either side of the front foot. Chaturanga or modified chaturanga. So knees come down. Hug the arm bones in. Low cobra. Drag the ribs forward. And then keep dragging forward. Summer, slow down as you come down. Yeah. Press back to downward dog. Christine, in your downward dog, bring your shoulder blades down the back of the ribs a bit. Yeah. And just find, there's gonna be a sweet spot sort of in between, like the shoulder blades. They'll come so far down that your chest comes forward. And so then you'll wanna like push back a little bit and kind of find your middle in there. And then rewrap shoulder blades. Inhale, step the right foot forward for lunge. Always flip the mat over if you need to pad your knee. Engage the left glutes strongly. And then grab onto your left wrist with your right hand, coming into side bend. Yeah. Inhale and lengthen through the ribs. Come on into forward fold and come back to stand. Inhale, sweep your arms skyward. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, step the left foot back for lounge lunge. So in lounge lunge, the top of the foot is on the ground. You'll bring the left hand about 6 or 8 inches out in front of your left shoulder. From here, the right hand grabs onto the front of the right shin. Take an inhale, press the top of your left foot down strongly. And then on exhale, slide your ribs towards your left armpit and towards the ground. You can stay here. If you have farther to go, you can take your right fingertips to your left glute, and use your fingertips to both traction the pelvis away from the ribs and ensure that that glute is really activated and turned on. Keep the front or the top of your left thigh facing the ground. Slide the ribs towards the arm, towards the front armpit and the floor a little bit more. Hugging the right knee in towards the midline. One more breath here. And then both hands come to either side of your front foot. Step back into plank. Either lowering or not lowering the knees, come all the way down for cobra or low cobra. Keep dragging the ribs forward as you lay down. Hands under your shoulders, downward dog. Inhale, step your left foot forward for lounge lunge. The right hand comes out in front of the right shoulder. Left hand to the outside of the left leg so that you can give yourself that assist of hugging your leg in towards the midline as you drag your rib cage, your right ribs towards the ground. Feel into the front of your right thigh and hip. And you want to roll that thigh inward so that the front of the right thigh is also facing the ground. And you get deeper into hip flexor and psoas. And then keep sending the ribs down. One more big breath here into your heart. And then exhale, hands to either side of the front foot. Step forward for forward fold. Inhale, sweep your arms up. Exhale, hands together in front of your head. Inhale, arms reach skyward. Exhale, laying the ribs down on the thighs as you fold forward. Inhale, step the right foot back this time for low lunge. You're going to feel a big difference in your low lunge after all of those sort of increments. So hugging your sit bones in, sweeping the arms skyward, telescope the ribs, and then sink the pelvis down. Exhale, hands to either side of the front foot, step back for plank. You can lower your knees to modify. You can come into up dog or cobra. Downward facing dog. Inhale, step your right foot forward for low lunge this time. Squeezing the inner legs towards each other. Engage the glutes. Lift the ribs away, pulling the low belly in, knitting the front ribs towards each other. Sink back down for your lunge. Hands to either side of the front foot, step forward. Inhale, a moment. All right. Quick interlude before we get into B series. So find your strap and then come on into horse stance with your strap between your hands. Tie, scarf, strap. Wide leg horse stance. Come on down. So we're in a really different setup here in terms of lengthening the backs of the hamstrings and the glutes, right? And then the hip flexors are flexing deeply. Lift and spread the toes. So in horse stance, you'll take your tie behind your head and your neck. So it's right kind of at the base of the skull. And then hug your elbows in towards each other. So your triceps are working here. Wrapping the shoulder blades, hugging them towards each other. Come back down in your horse. Lauren, pull your ribs and your low belly back in. Yeah, somewhere in the middle of that, that was a big adjustment. And then feel for pressing your head back into your strap. So it's like you're gonna like double chin yourself here, right? So using the neck muscles strongly, pressing head back into the strap. Find your breath here. Reach your tailbone down. Bring the elbows closer together. And then press the head back again. All right, and release. Take a break from horse. You'll just straighten your legs, heel toe the feet together. Slow. And you'll have your feet wider than hip distance. So some people call this like star pose, right? If you put your arms up. So you'll have the feet in that position. And then coming into back traction and brain cradle. So bringing the left forearm across your low back. Make a fist with that forearm and use the forearm here to lengthen your low back. You'll engage the glutes really strongly, pulling the tailbone away from your torso. And then the right hand cradles the base of your skull, the back of your head. Inhale, lift and telescope your ribs up. Exhale, lengthen the low back down, and then lay your head back into your hand. So your right hand is pulling your skull bones up as you lay back, and your left arm is pressing your low back down. You're literally lengthening your own spine. One more inhale here, feeding your breath into your heart. And then on exhale, go ahead and release that back up and switch sides. So right arm to low back, opening up the front of the right shoulder here, and using the strength in the arm to traction the low back down. Then left hand to the base of the skull, lifting the head and the neck up as you press the low back and the sacrum down. Lay your head back into your hand and then feed your breaths here right into your heart. Feed your sankalpa, your resolve, your intention, your mantra into your heart, into your body so that it penetrates your cells. And come on out of that. Grab your strap again and come back into horse. So this is called floating angel arms, right? So you'll hold your strap between your arms. You'll take the arms as wide apart as they come, yeah? And then press your strap in your hands into your legs. And I think I misspoke there, Obi. It's probably not as wide apart as they'll come. Take your arms wide, but you need to be able to feel the pressing into the legs and then pulling your arms apart. You're gonna hold that for a few breaths. So notice what happened to your rib cage here. Pull the ribs back in. So you're pulling your hands apart from each other, pressing your hands back into your legs. And then keep your knees bent and horse and just let your strap go, like fall to the ground. Let it go. And let your arms float up. And straight legs. So you feel pretty good. All right, heel toe your feet back in and find your way to the front of your mat for B series. With vignettes, because that's how we roll. Inhale, sweep your arms up, and your feet, your ankles can be together or hip distance apart as you sit back into chair pose. As you come back into chair, feel your knees line up over your heels. And then exhale, fold forward. Inhale, scoop the chest open, bend the knees as much as you need to. Exhale, step back. You can always modify by setting the knees down or not as you lower all the way down. Coming into cobra or low cobra, press the pubic bone into the ground, tops of the feet into the ground, and then use your arms to drag the ribs forward. Lower down. Press back to downward dog. Left foot comes forward for warrior one. And you can do warrior one with the back toes curled under or the back foot down, up to you. Bring your left elbow underneath the right elbow for eagle. Warrior one with eagle arms. Check back in with your glutes and the tops of your hamstrings. Turning on your legs. Feeling the support of your legs. And then with your next inhale, breathing into the back of your heart, breathing into your heart, and feel the support that you have in your legs for your heart. Reach the tailbone down. Feel your breath spread across the back of the ribs. Unwind your arms. Twisting lunge. Bringing the legs back into the 90-90 lunge. Pat your knee. And then a little adjustment to give yourself here is to hook your left thumb into your left hip crease to rotate that leg out and down. And then with your right hand, you can grab onto your lower ribs, take an inhale, and lift and lengthen your own ribs. From here, the right elbow will cross over the left thigh, make a fist with your right hand, and bring the left hand on top of it. Lay your heart back and away from your hands, and then relax your neck. Press down into your legs. And then feel your whole spine lengthen away from the pelvis as you press your arm into your thigh and twist around. Feed your next breath into your heart. Nourishing your heart with your breath. Release. Step back to hands and knees. From hands and knees, cobra over the roll. So have your rolled up mat underneath your belly and then just lay down on it. You want to have the mat in between your pubic bone and your low ribs. Come onto the tops of your feet and then go ahead and lay down. So stay here for a minute, laying over your roll, just feeling the muscles, your abdominal muscles, the diaphragm, accepting the roll. And from here, coming into Cobra. So low Cobra setup, have your hands out in front of your shoulders. Press the tops of the feet into the floor, and then you'll inhale and press your belly into the roll as you straighten the elbows. Engage your glutes here. Reach the tailbone towards the feet and the heels. Reach your legs back behind you, and then use your hands and your arms to drag the ribs forward. Big inhale up into your heart, and then exhale. Keep using the strength of the arms to pull forward as you lower down. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Press back to hands and knees. Set the roll aside and come into downward dog. Inhale, step the right foot forward for Eagle Warrior 1. Back toes are tucked under, or you can have the back heel down. Bring the right elbow underneath the left elbow this time. Deep bend in your front knee, sending the front thigh bone away from hip. Feel the glutes hug around the pelvis bones here, engaging your legs from your feet to your ankles to your upper legs, giving yourself and your heart and your intent all of that leg support and strength. Inhale and feel for broadening the upper back with your breath alone. Exhale, send the elbows away from the collarbones. Fingertips reach sky. Release. Twisting lunge. Legs come back to 90 degrees. Have the knee if you need it, giving yourself that external rotation with the right thumb and the right hip crease. And then left hand to the side of the ribs. Inhale, lengthen your own ribs up. From here, elbow comes over thigh. Make a fist with your hands. And the other arm, the other hand comes on top of it. Press down into the hand with the fist and lay your heart back and away from your hands. Feeling for what does that action open up and lengthen. Squeezing your glutes again around your sit bones and tailbone to anchor your pelvis. From here, rolling the chest and the heart towards the sky. Hands come down to either side of your front foot. Come to downward dog. From downward dog, step the left foot forward for extended warrior variation with chest opener. So you'll have your left forearm on your left thigh. The right arm reaches diagonally out from the shoulder. Inhale, roll your chest open, drag the ribs forward with the left forearm, and then let gravity take your hand back behind you, opening up the front of the shoulder, collarbones, and chest. Check back in with your leg support. Feel your feet pressing into the earth. Feel the glutes hugging around the sit bones, especially on the right side. Lengthening the spine away from the pelvis. lengthening both sides of the ribs. Hands come down to either side of the front foot for arrow lunge. So grab your blocks for this one. And if arrow lunge does not work on the top of your foot with the back foot tucked under, then just tuck your toes. Otherwise, you're on the top of the back foot, hands on blocks, straighten the back leg so that the knee lifts up off the floor. Hands can stay on blocks, they can come to front thigh, or reach the arms skyward. Again, number one is to come back to that leg support here. Feeling the strength and the power in the legs. Next breath, breathing and washing your breath, your mantra, your intention into your heart and all the way down into your belly and your legs. So it's like you're fueling your intent with the fire of this pose. Exhale, hands come down, lower the knee down. Come to hands and knees, boat with a block. So you'll take your block in the medium width between your back ankles. Lay down onto your belly. Squeeze the block between the ankles. Bring your hands, again, your fingers onto your glute muscles so that you can feel as you plug your pubic bone down here and squeeze onto the block, you feel the glutes engage. From here, hug your elbows in towards each other, squeeze the block, and then lift the feet and the chest. Send your legs strongly back behind you. Keep hugging elbows in. Take a big breath into your heart. Have your forehead facing the ground here so your neck is neutral. Exhale, release that down. Step back to downward dog. Setting up for extended warrior variation. Step the right foot forward. Right forearm comes to right thigh. Diagonalizing your top arm away from your shoulder. Hug the sit bones around the tailbone. Stabilize the pelvis, lengthen the low back, and then inhale, roll your chest open and let your back arm fall back. Aligning with the force of gravity here to help to open the front of your heart. A beautiful opportunity to wash your breath right into your upper chest and your heart. It's like you're fertilizing with your breath the seed of your New Year's intention. From here, blocks to either side of the front foot, arrow lunge. In arrow lunge, might be different from one side to the next. Hands can stay on the blocks. Maybe come to the thigh. Maybe reach sky. Feeling the huge energy, strength of your legs as they hold you in the intensity of this pose. And if your mind starts to wander or fuss, coming back into that ceremony state of mind, bringing your attention collectively, we're all doing this with you, back to your intention. And then exhale, hands come down to either side of the front foot. Step back into downward dog. Inhale, step your left foot forward for lunge with brain cradle. Pad the back knee if you need it. Both hands clasp behind your head, the base of your skull. Press down strongly in your front foot and the top of your back foot, hugging the back of the leg in, hugging the muscles around the sit bones, and then using your hands to lift and traction your skull up and away. Laying back any amount, elbows pressing towards each other. Find your breath. Inhale, keep lifting the head and the neck as you come up. From here, half camel with back traction. So bring your left forearm across your low back like we did in the standing pose. Bring your right hand over your heart. Using the strength of your left arm to lengthen your sacrum down. From here, you're going to take your gaze rolling towards the right and look back at your right heel. You might stop here. If you have farther to go, right hand comes to right heel. If you have farther to go, press down with your forearm as you roll your chest and your heart back towards the sky, lengthening the spine and the ribs away from the pelvis. Feed your breath into your heart wherever you are. To come out of this pose, take your gaze back to your right heel and your right hand. Roll the ribs back over to the right. And then come on up. Hands come to either side of your front foot. And step back to hands and knees. Coming into upward dog with your hands on blocks. If you don't have blocks, you can come back into cobra or try upward dog without the blocks. With blocks, you need to have your blocks far enough apart that your chest and your shoulders can fit in between the blocks. So you'll come into plank, bend the elbows, hug the elbows in, lower partway down, keep hugging your elbows in, and come on up into upward dog. Elbows stay bent and squeezing in towards each other. Back of your legs are active and engaged. From here, press back to downward dog. Inhale, step the right foot forward for lunge with boring cradle. Flip the mat to pad your back knee if you need that extra padding. Sink low down into your lunge without like collapsing into it, right? So there's that sweet spot between integrity and low lunging and then just dumping. And then from low lunge, clasp the hands behind your head and your neck, hug elbows in towards each other. Use your hands and your arms to lift from the base of your skull in a way that lengthens your entire rib cage up and away from your pelvis, sending the pelvis forward as you lift the head and the skull in the other direction. Just notice where your eyes are going. Sometimes we try to use our eyes to lift us. Softening your gaze wherever you are. Unwind from that and setting up for half camel. The right forearm comes across your low back. Bring your left hand onto your chest. You might stay here, pressing the low back down And then inhale, lifting the chest and collarbones up into your heart. If you have farther to go, you'll turn your torso and look down at your back heel. This might be as far as you come. You might reach your hand down. If you have further to go, rolling chest and collarbones back towards the ceiling, pressing the low back away. Breathing and watching your breath into your heart. Feel both feet, especially the front foot, pressing into the ground, coming out of the pose the same way you came in. So turning to look at that back heel, keep pressing the low back down as you find your way back up. The next pose is camel at the wall. So if you can find a wall space in your house to do this, that would be awesome. Just watch me first and then you'll go do it. So you'll fold your mat in half and then in half again to pad your knees. Bring your mat right up against the baseboard of the wall. Watch me. The knees and the feet will be hip distance apart. I like to make fists with my hands and bring the flat part of my knuckles onto my sacrum. The elbows tweeze in. From here, thighs press strongly against the wall as ribs lift up the wall. Okay? So come on into the pose. Bringing your mat against the wall. Make sure that your knees are well padded and taken care of. Knees and feet are hip distance apart. And then you can either bring your thumbs onto your sacrum or make fists with your hands and bring the flat part of the knuckles onto your sacrum. And notice that your ribs probably just popped out and you popped off the wall a bit. So from here, pull those ribs back in and really feel for pressing your thighs into the wall. And for this one, your chin's just going to stay neutral over your chest. Hug the elbows towards each other without thrusting the ribs out. Press the hands down, press thighs into the wall, and then on inhale, feel for telescoping your ribs. Lift the rib cage away from your thighs. Release, and come on back to the center of the room. So the next pose that we'll do is go ahead and keep your padding and grab your rolled up mat or camel with brain cradle with a roll. So rolled up mat between the thighs, and we'll just come into this together. I like to use the prop between the thighs because it gives me something to feel, to hug my inner legs and glutes onto so I can get those part of my legs activated, right? And then from here, clasp your hands behind your head and your neck. Feel again for pressing your thighs forward like you were pressing into the wall. Press the knees and the shins down, and then lift the head and lay back any amount. Squeeze the glutes, keep the low back long, feeling the ribs lift up and away. Washing your breath into your heart. And exhale, go ahead and release. Have a look over here. The next pose is windblown cypress, and it comes through like a shoulder stand. So if you know that your neck and your shoulders don't do shoulder stand, I'm going to give you a different option. For windblown cypress, you start like you're coming into bridge pose. Make sure I'm in the camera. I am. You start like you're coming into bridge pose, and You'll lift the hips up off the floor. One of your hands is going to turn out and become a pedestal for your sacrum. The other arm just comes out straight, where it doesn't really matter what you do with it. This might be as far as you go. If you have further to go, the legs will move towards splits, maybe grabbing your foot with your opposite hand. Maybe, maybe not. And then you stay up to switch sides. If you are not doing windblown cypress, you'll get your sacrum up on a block for psoas release. One leg straight, the other knee hugs in towards the chest. 5 breaths each side. I'll talk you through windblown cypress. Psoas release, people, you're on your own. So laying back, setting up like you're coming into bridge pose. Shoulder blades come down the back. Hug the knees in towards your chest, and then lift the pelvis up off the floor. Both of your hands here come onto your low back. Take your left hand off your low back, flex the left hand, and you're gonna make like a little stool to turn and set your hips on. The right arm straightens out from the right shoulder. Stay here. If you have farther to go, legs come towards splits. Maybe grabbing the right foot with the right hand. Maybe, maybe not. Find your breath. Legs come back together. Stay up, coming back through center, and then you'll switch sides. Right hand flexes, fingers reach back towards the elbow, and then set your hips down. Left arm straight up. Maybe reaching the legs apart, maybe grabbing your foot. Steady with your breath. Come on back into center, and then set your back down. Roll over onto your side for one more pulse. So, shin bound spinal twist, or shin bound half lotus spinal twist. Watch me. You'll either have your foot pressing into your thigh if your knees don't do half lotus. Otherwise, bring the ankle up into half lotus. Your strap goes around your bent leg, your half lotus foot. It's gonna come over your hip and around your back. From here, arm reaches around for your strap, and the other hand can come to your thigh, your shin, or your foot. Okay, let's come into it together. So you're either have your foot pressing into your thigh or up into half lotus. Wrap your strap around the front of your left ankle, and then bring the strap along the left hip crease. Right hand reaches back and around for the strap. Once you've got your strap with the right hand coming into a twist, the left hand comes to the outside of the thigh, the calf, or the foot. Exhale, relax your neck. Relax your left ear toward your left shoulder. Don't waste a single precious moment here to feed your breath into your heart, to reconnect with your intention, to reconnect with that deep truth inside you about your heart's deepest wanting and desire. Release. Switch sides. Right foot comes into half lotus and the strap comes around the front of the right ankle. Then bring your strap back by your right hip crease. Reach your left arm around and behind you for the strap. Maybe you're grabbing your thigh. If you're really flexible, maybe your shin. The right hand comes to the outside of the left leg. So this is not a forward bend. You can feel that, right? This is a twisting back bend. So you'll grab onto the outside of the thigh, the calf, or the left foot with your right hand. And then it feels like laying your body back, lay the back of your heart back, feeling how that opens up your chest, your heart area. Big inhale up underneath your collarbones. And then exhale, feel the right ear relax towards the right shoulder. Luxuriating in the opening that this pose brings into the whole front of your chest, the whole left side. Washing your breath so that you can uptake the nutrients of this pose and feed it into your heart. Feed your intent. Gently release and lay back for Shavasana, the final relaxation pose. Staying wholeheartedly with your breath, with your attention to your breath and your attention to your intention. Noticing as you rest in Shavasana for how much easier it is to relax and release after the practice that you just did. Coming back to that reverent place of ceremony. Reverent connectedness and awareness of the land that supports and holds your body. I learned today from a friend in Southwest Alaska, beautiful Yupik woman. There's a word in the Yupik language, a knife neck. It translates to spirit or breath, spirit and breath. In other words, in the Yupik language, spirit and breath are the same word. And with your next inhalation and your exhalation, can you connect to that understanding, breath and spirit, that inextricably connected, they're the same thing. As we close out this practice with weaving, braiding together these strands of our attention, our intention, our body, our breath, our spirit, making you feel how alive and energized and enough you are. Keep that deep spirit breath going as you rebend your knees. Roll yourself slowly over to one side. Stay on your side. You have enough time for this transition. Stay on your side and take in a really big breath. And then exhale, let air out. Moving slowly and intentionally as you press yourself back up to sitting. You bring your hands again, one over the other, over your heart. Taking eating one more deeply nourishing breath. Spirit breath into your heart. And bring your hands together to seal in the ceremony. Seal in the closure of the year, the intent that you have for yourself, that deep and heartfelt intent moving into 2020. I wish you so much love as you carry forward into a new year.